man. Alright, so I'm really friggin' warm. I'm really warm. It's kind of gross. I'm sweating a little bit, and I apologize for that. What happened is, I was honestly, this is going to sound stupid like I'm making it up, but I was so excited to start this stream that I literally ran home. I literally ran home on a warm day in the 70s. And I am, as a result, even after I took a cool shower to rinse myself, I'm still pretty friggin' warm. So you hear the air conditioner going behind me. You might hear a little extra noise from the street because I've got the window right next to me open. As soon as I just cool down just a little bit, I'm going to shut off that noise. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk maybe just a few decibels louder than normal. And I hope that'll be okay with you. But yeah, I was like in late at work, and I just hated the idea that the obligations of my day job, my livelihood, would prevent me from making the normal amount of progress that I make on this project every weeknight. So I hated that idea so much, I'm like, God damn it, I just gotta get home. And I started running like Forrest Gump, or some kind of crazy person. And actually, I also, I like running. I like doing it for my health. But yeah, I was impatient to get home, to do this thing right here that I'm going to do. And if you were with me yesterday in the Sunday session, first off, let me cover the schedule. So this thing that I'm doing right now is a live coding session. I do it Monday through Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m.-ish. As you can tell, I'm a little bit late today. And which 6 p.m.? The Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. That's the one that I target. So that's live coding in Unity and C#. And at the beginning, I do a little demo of my progress. So if you don't want to watch me write code, but you just kind of want to see where I'm at with the game and kind of check out the game, you can do that in the first 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna demo some really cool stuff in a moment. Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, usually starting more on the dot. I have what I call God Killer Gamedev Sundays, and I do a demo or I do some kind of programming non-programming task, level design, artwork, sound, something like that. I do that on Sundays. So if you're catching this on a recording and you'd like to join in live, please come by during like one of those times and definitely chat with me. I like chatters. Oh, I forgot to bring up my chat window. Speaking of that, let me bring that up just in case somebody has already joined up. I'm going to put that off to the side. Okay, and then I will not make the same stupid mistake I've made a number of times. I'll remember to switch away from my big stupid head and show the actual work window. Okay, and I got to resize it a little bit on my giant monitor so that it fits inside of the visible area, most of it anyways. And this will allow you to see, for the most part, the important parts of my screen. And I do have like some areas of the screen that you can't see. That's okay. Nothing too interesting going on there. I'm telling you, this whole area in here, that's where the magic happens. So, anyways, I began a quest for adding curves into the game. And I started on an airplane last week on a business trip. And I can't really code on an airplane, but I can do some research and I can plan out algorithms. And the thing that I came up with for curves is this really cool, if you even slightly like math, if you just like math a little bit, you'll think this is cool, function called a Catenary curve function. So I'll go to Google Images first so you can kind of see what it looks like. So maybe if you've taken some math, you're familiar with parabolas. And this other type of curve is it's not a parabola. It's wider on average. The ratio of its width to its height is kind of wider. Maybe that's not quite the right way to say it. It's more like these parts here on this chain link here, or this suspended curve here. These parts right around here in this area, they go out further than with a parabola. So this type of curve is really good for representing the natural curves that form in gravity. I think it might even be true that, like, if you had a different gravity, it would form different. No, that can't be right. That can't be right. It's probably just if there's any gravity, as opposed to none at all, you can expect the weight of the rope or a flexible thing between 2 points to settle into this kind of stasis. And it is cool that, like, you can say that this works the same way with different ropes, different materials that are used in the rope, stretched across different expanses. The function holds true. It's not a complicated function. And there's another kind of neat thing about it. Like, if you flip that curve, you make it an arch instead of like a downward loop, you have, I will not say this exactly right, but you have like the optimal arch for supporting the weight of something above it evenly across its structure. So there are things like the St. Louis arch, which is the same catenary curve. There's many famous arches. They're not stylistically made this way. They're made that way because I mean, they're not made that way for stylistic reasons. They're made that way. Oh, here's like a really good juxtaposition right here. They're made that way because they support weight effectively. Let me see this guy. Oh, come on, show me. There it is. So you see like an archway here that has a catenary curve, and the reflection of it's underneath, and then some clever fellow has like another loop here that's hanging just by the natural weight of things, and it proves the point, or proves some point, doesn't it? That the way things hang by their weight is also a good structure for arches. So anyways, enough with my love affair of that function. I'll show you the actual results inside of the game. Oh, I'm starting to feel cooler now. I hit the play button. And Unity will take its normal lengthy amount of time to start up. When I'm broadcasting, it's actually extra lengthy. Frame rate is really chunky right when it starts. To some extent, that's my game. I need to clean up my initialization a little bit, but it's also the broadcasting takes a hit, takes a big CPU hit. So you can see I've got these cables strung up all over, and I wrote a function that would, not a function, a set of code that would implement the catenary curve function programmatically, and I can create these cables with the greatest of ease, quickly. I can add different slack to them, and I add like little decorations of like things like you can see like parts of this are wider. I have like I have code that procedurally creates these extra decorations. This one's got little barbs in it. And they don't have to be set up like a flat catenary, like those examples we were looking at in Google Images. The two ends of the curve can be at different heights. So I'm sure there's some other game that has done this, but at the least, if it's not an original idea, you have to say that it's not been overused. I just have not seen much that's done this particular effect, so I'm a tiny bit proud of it. And I think it looks cool. I'm going to walk around a little bit more and show off the curves here. If anything, I've overdone it a little bit. The screen looks a little bit busy with all these cables hung up, but you know, I was excited. I can make them different radiuses. I'll go into the editor in a moment and show like all the different options I can use on them. I guess I should say radii, not radiuses. I don't want to be an ignoramus, or a member of ignorami, a group of ignorami. Radii, radius, I think that's the correct terms. Oh, the frame rate, oh my god. I promise it runs smooth when I'm not broadcasting, I promise. So there they are, and another thing I love about them is they help me solve the problem of pattern boredom. So this floor square down here is just one repeating tile again. There's a number of ways to break up that monotony. I could do it by like using shaders. I could do it by adding different shapes in the mesh that map to different textures. I can do some kind of more advanced UV editing type stuff. But this other thing I'm doing, just casting shadows from interestingly shaped objects, these curves, also breaks up the pattern boredom. So I've got these curved shadows all over the place. So it's kind of a simple way to make them not look as boring. So, alright, I'm going to get out of demo mode pretty quick here, or at least I'll stop playing the game and I'll show you like the editing tools. I guess I'm still bragging a little bit. And then after that, I will go and code up a new thing. Because it's not all about demoing. In fact, this is the most self-indulgent part of what I'm doing right now. So I shouldn't do too much more of it. Oh, okay, starting to cool down. Which means I can close the nearby window, making it a tiny bit quieter. I'm going to leave that loud-ass AC on for a little bit longer. Alright, so cables. How do they even work? Let me just select one. In Unity, they're just game objects. They have their own mesh. So I just pick one of them. Alright. So now I've got one cable selected. It's this one right here that I'm showing with my mouse pointer. And by the way, I don't feel like publishing all my source code and as a general practice. But if someone watches this and says they would like to have the code that does this, just send me a message. I'll send you the code. It's no big deal. I just don't want to like throw it out there for no reason. But if somebody wants it, wants to refer to it, let me know. Okay. So I can control the two endpoints of it by moving this around. I can move them in 3 space wherever I want. Here, I'll move the other endpoint. See, if I move that, if I move that up, the curve is dynamically adjusting. You might say, that's fine, but it looks really crude. It's got these kinks in it. That's just because I set the detail kind of low, but I can up the detail. So if I go to my script here that I wrote, and if I go down this section here, I can set the segment length. This thing is made of a bunch of segments. Here, I'll show all the segments more clearly. If I turn this little thing on, it shows where each one of them is. So I can increase the segments by reducing the average length of each one. And then it gets to be a higher resolution. I'll turn off the points again. So there it looks pretty smooth. But to be honest, I liked it where it was because most of the time you're not that close to the curve here, and I wanted to make a trade-off between being low poly and looking good, and I felt like from the typical camera view that this was a good trade-off right here. So other things I can do, I can change the radius, I can make it kind of big, I can make it ridiculously big. I'm such a bragging guy right now. I'm just really happy that I got all this to work, and yeah. So yeah, if I want to make like a cable that's just massive, I can do that. I can set the texture of it to something else. I can do all that. Undo. I've got all the changes that I make in here are hooked up to undo. Then I've got like these decorations that can be added to the cable. And there's two types. I can do a hard adjustment where the changes in radius made by the decoration will show like that, kind of crisp and clean. Or if I uncheck that, then they kind of look like a sausage tube with a smoother variation, or like somebody's large intestine stretched out. I kind of like the hard way better. It looks more techy, less organic. But there may be some levels where I want to use the other one. So I have some different ends. It looks like this first one is not working correctly, so I may come in later and fix that. Ends 2, ends 3, it goes out a little bit further. I can change like these bumpy parts where the radius increases. I can change them to be larger relative to the rest. I can make them go smaller than the rest if I want to. There, it's just like it's like a thread. I made that endpoint there just be like a thread. All right, let's go. Oh yeah, a few more I'll show. Okay, so then we got, I can put that bumpy part in the middle. I can make the bumpy part different lengths. I can do ribbed for your pleasure. Yeah. Anyways, I think that gives you the gist, and I'm gonna move on to something else. I'm gonna make some more progress on this. But man, I'm just extremely happy with these cables. They came out exactly like I envisioned, and it's getting me back on the path to this other thing, which I showed yesterday in my morgue. So I've got these reference art. That's what a morgue is, by the way. It's just a collection of reference art of a city in Japan that has a fucked up rat's nest of electrical cables and telephone cables and internet cables, and yeah, they lost control of this it looks like. And so I wanted to make something like that in one of the future levels. So I can do it. I can do it. I think what I'm going to implement today, because I learned that I don't really need to have a full procedural generation that that takes these cables and creates them automatically. What I need is kind of neat attachment points for them, because it was taking me a while to grab one of these endpoints and discover where it should go inside of the 3D model. So if I could have kind of like a known mounting point or knot tying point or a socket for cables that was part of the different prefabs that I use, then when I'm in authoring mode and I'm dragging the ends of these cables around, it can neatly snap up to one of the sockets that I've defined in one of the prefabs. So yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna try to take on next. And I'm starting late. It's 7 p.m. I usually can only go till about 8 p.m. I'll see if I can go a little bit later. I'll see if I can finish this tonight. So an hour and change to develop a brand new feature. I think I can do it. But I gotta stop demoing. I gotta get to working on this. So that's what's coming next. Alright. So as I switch to a work mode, you will notice that I begin talking in a different way, more calmly, spending more of my brain power on contemplation and various tasks, besides talking and presenting and expressing my thoughts. And I begin to talk in a more sing-song pattern like this, which puts one or both of us into a state of profound hypnosis, in which work is accomplished. No, it's nothing like that. But yeah, I'm gonna change my tempo a little bit. Okay, so what I like to do in these early stages where I haven't quite come up with a plan, an exact, specific plan, is write out a few notes about what I'm going to do. So I go here, and this thing, I'm going to call it, to start with, I'm going to call it a cable socket. Cable socket. Alright. It will be a place where the end points of cables are plugged into. Let me write out my plan. Let me start to write this out, plan it out, think of different alternatives, pick the best one. Okay, cable sockets. Any socket can have 0, 1, or many cables attached. I'm dragging socket, cable input. It will snap to nearest socket within snap range. Edit time only code. Let's see, what will I need? I'll need, let's see, okay. Any prefab can have one or more cable sockets. Now, I could make it easier on myself. I could just say that prefab can only have one cable socket, because the thing that would simplify is like keeping like a big public array of properties that can specify multiple cable sockets. So let's see. Cable socket. Not a discovery. Cable socket. Okay, that'll be a mono behavior class. Want to have cable socket will be added to other prefab, e.g. a rail, a corner. Okay, what is it going to need? It's going to need vector 3 cable offset, something like that. Draggable. Cable socket. Since I want that to be draggable, it's a cable socket editor. Follow the pattern of cable decorator editor. Okay. So, cable decorator editor has the code, already has the code for changing endpoints. So I need to add snap to behavior and changing endpoint code. I need to do it inside of editor instead of in cable decorator itself, because this class is able to do that snap to thing. It can kind of change as you're dragging. Okay. And this is fun. I've never done a snap to thing before. It'd be interesting to see how that works. Okay. So what else do I need? I need something which is knowledgeable about where all the cable sockets are. So it's a singleton static class, and I needed to add every cable socket to, I think, to say list for now, even though it's not the most efficient thing to store in. But this is edit time functionality. It doesn't have to be that efficient, or at least I don't need to pre-optimize. I can just try it out in a simple list. Let's see. Let's call this init scene. Get all components that have cable socket. Or you know what, it's kind of a dumb way to do that, because every single cable socket has got a start behavior. It's got its start, and it can register itself. So instead of having cable socket manager go find all of the cable sockets, add self. Let's see, cable socket manager, add socket. Yes, something like that. Keep my reset static. I should stop calling it reset static. I should probably call it like a reset for scene. Yeah. Anyways, I'll keep calling it reset static for now. Basically, this just clears all the static members of a singleton type object. Because I don't really want it to be retaining all that data from one scene to the next. So every time a new scene loads, I want it to reset. So that's what that does. Okay, so add socket. Okay, then cable socket manager becomes the expert of all the cable sockets. And I can call find socket vector 3 position the thing I hate about either Unity or C# is these types are not nullable. So I would have liked to have find socket return null if it couldn't find. Oh, never mind. I'm complaining about something I don't have to deal with. It can return cable socket and let's see, position. Let's see, I'll do a float max distance. Okay, and then I'll have a constant snap distance equals something. Okay, then cable socket. I can just get the cable offset from it. Let's call it offset. This is starting to make sense. So I'm coming back to this. Any prefab can have one or more cable sockets. That would be kind of nice. That would be kind of nice. I don't want to create like a dynamic list. I think just do up to 4. Make them all draggable. There's a downside to that though. You know what? I'm just gonna go with 1. I can change it if I find it's not enough. I'm just afraid the editing of this is gonna look like terrible, like just really busy. Because I'll click on the thing with the cable socket and suddenly like 4 of those XYZ selectors will show up at once. So I'll give you an example. So this cable's got, I forget what these things are called. I'll call them XYZ selectors. I'm sure there's a different name for them. This is the normal one that comes with any game object when you select it. This is one endpoint, this is the other endpoint. So imagine I click on like one of these game objects and it's got a cable socket. And then in addition to this one selector, 4 more will appear. And it feels like that's going to be a little bit crazy. Just one is not bad. Maybe there's even a way I can style it so it's clearly distinct from the rest of it, from the main one. I'll think about that. I'll maybe research that a little bit. But if I just have 2 when I click on it, one that's the normal one that goes with the game object, and another one that is a cable socket selector, position selector, then I think that's manageable. But 5, when I click on it, that's just gonna be too much. So going back. Okay, this is not bad. This doesn't red flag me in any way. Doesn't feel like I'm going to have to redo it. So which one do I start with? Let's start with cable socket, which is where I'm in. Let's get a cable socket. British behavior. Okay, now I can turn off the AC. And I can smash baskets around. Okay. By the way, here's all the beautiful math code I wrote. Mostly yesterday. And it's just this one 282 line file that does all that cable calculation and also the mesh creation. Alright, I'll stop bragging about that. I'll stop. I gotta get on to new things, not rest on my laurels. Okay, cable socket. So I want to just follow the pattern that I already established. In fact, I'll just yank this and bring it over as a reference, because this Community Dumbass Edition version of Visual Studio does not have split windows. I need to buy the full version of the IDE if I want split windows, which is something that every free IDE in existence has, except Visual Studio Community Dumbass Edition. Okay. So custom editor type of. That's a different thing. I gotta create like a separate cable socket editor. I forgot. Add new class. Okay, so I meant really to paste all that stuff over into here. This does not go here. Let's do this. forgetting it's not C or C++. Okay. Cable socket. Cable socket. I tell you, if I wasn't in the middle of writing a game, I think that I would just start making Unity asset store projects. So I do kind of enjoy like making something with a lot of extra functionality and kind of tweaking with it and twiddling with it. Let's see. Cable, no, this is cable socket. Okay. So I'm wondering. I think that'll do it. So let's go back to cable socket and make public transform. No, not a transform. Vector. This will be the offset from the game object that the cable socket's attached to, that the cable socket will be at. And the cable socket is not like a rendered thing. It's not a mesh. It's a purely edit time construct piece of data. It's used to position the ends of cables. So anything else I'll need for the cable socket? Yeah, I need this. And this cable socket manager is not created yet, but it occurs to me that I can just test this out before I finish writing all the other stuff. I can just make sure this one thing works. So let's build all of that. It's just bad luck to do a fresh build on a debugger when I've just been left it going overnight. I mean, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. But okay, let me just stop that, and I'll do a rebuild in a second. So Visual Studio, I'm kind of sad that I'm learning like all these things that they're not really things that are proven to be true. They're just kind of like superstitions that over time the IDE sort of trains me into following. So like I can't truly say that you should never do a build with the debugger running overnight, but it just feels like, you know, my hippocampus. My hippocampus has remembered enough painful experiences that it's pattern matched that now, which is ridiculous. Like, I don't have logical reasons for the things I do with Visual Studio IDE. I just have memories of past pain that influence my behavior instinctively, and that's not a way to live. It's not a way to live. Be living by fear of the tools that you work with. You want a life governed by reason, not fear. That's why I want to get onto this JetBrains Rider thing, see if it's any better. Because I just think the Visual Studio IDE is just a flaming pile of ass. It's just not good. It's not a good tool. I'm used to better. Even other versions of Visual Studio. Okay, so let's take this guy. NWD. Add a component. Cable socket. Alright, so and immediately I've got this other thing that I can drag around. Now it looks like it's like way off in a weird place. Oh, it's not actually letting me move it. I know why. I know why. Because I forgot the key bit of code. You always have to set. Let me follow the pattern. Where's that one? Yeah, it comes after. Okay, so you always have to set the new value explicitly. So you say cable socket offset equals the new offset. And on the other side of this, when I'm dragging the cable endpoints around, this is also, I believe, I have to try it out. I believe this is the place where I can adjust the endpoints of the cable so that they snap. So instead of saying it directly to whatever was passed in, I think I can correct for the snap right there. But let's just get the first thing working. Okay, so alright, there's the spinny. Compile, compile, build, build. Okay, now can I pull? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Okay. So this is I always have kind of a tough time when there is an object with no kind of mass to it, or a rigid body or a mesh, figuring out like where the heck the point actually is. That's kind of the reasoning for having these sockets, is that task is a little bit difficult even when I've got the cable endpoints. So first I'm trying to get the positioning right on the XZ plane. Then if that's mostly right, then I can drag the Y up. Where it gets screwy is when you try to do all 3 dimensions at one time. Then like you've got it looking correct, and you rotate a little bit and it's all screwed up. But this is not bad. Okay, so I've got the offset set there. So that part works. Just because it's a little bit cloying to me already to have these 2 XYZ selectors, I'm going to just see if there's a way that's not too hard, that won't take me too far off my main path. Show different handle. To show some other kind of handle besides that XYZ one. Just something that looks a little bit different, or has like an icon attached to it, or something, so I can see color to use for handles that represent the center of something. Maybe there's something there. That might just change all of them. I don't know if I have a way to change to do if I can just change one of them. Then there's all this stuff here. So what is the code I've got here? It's position handle. Maybe I should just look in this position handle function first. Is that here? Okay. If there's just something. Okay, let me change my Google a little bit. Show, let's see, style, position handle. Must include style. No, I really mean it. Okay, somebody wrote a whole Medium article. I'm just going to keyword search to style. This seems to be for text only. But style is declared a number of times here. Let's go check. No, this is all about text. Oh, maybe this okay, if I can add a label to the handle, that would be cool. Let me just see. I just need something. Just need something, or it's gonna drive me nutty. So if I say handles label, new offset, I'll move that down in a second. Make a little thing like that. Socket. Socket. Maybe like that. Is that how it works? What if it just did what I wanted the very first time? That's possible. It might do that. Waiting for it to compile. I don't know if there's any way to just like get it to there. There's no button in here to push to say just build the thing that I know is waiting. I've got some error of some sort. Okay, so clear this. Okay. So it's just not making anything yet. if I can just render something else by it, that wouldn't be bad. Let me get, I feel like the label should have worked. So let me say Unity editor handles label example. Yeah. Oh, maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to put it inside of on-scene GUI. Wait, did I already do that? Let me check. Yeah, no, that's all right. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Seems like that should work, but it didn't. Rebuild this. Let's see what's up. Ah, there we go. There we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, now that I know that I can put something on there, I might do something besides the word socket. Because it doesn't seem like I have to use that. I could draw something a little bit nicer. I don't know. Good enough, man. Good enough. I'm getting too fussy. Man. This is the one good side about this stream is like the same thing that tells me that I'm boring and disappointing people is often the right, often pushes me to make the right decisions as far as like continuing with the main path. So let's get back to the actual important work, not fiddling with how some little thing in the editor looks. Okay, so let's do the cable socket manager next. And let me I can get rid of some of this stuff now. I can get rid of that, done. That, done. This, really super obvious to me now. And this, I'll just drag over to here as a reference. Say one thing good about writing out a design like that instead of just doing the code. really helps me to check my thoughts and waste less effort. And I did more of it when I was a more junior programmer. And I got a feeling like kind of an I can fly feeling. And stopped doing it as much. I think it's because I can get a kind of immediate gratification from just coding, and things come into view fast. But then to go back and rewrite parts and waste some time, and overall it's more efficient to write out a plan first. Okay, so this is this is close enough to what I actually want that I'll just bring it across. Let's see, it's called 1 meter. Not meter. 1F. Float. Later on I might make that configurable, but not until it's proven that it's helpful. Now I can't do const, I can do read only. And let's do oh. No? Huh. Oh, I forget. Static. Alright. This is the only fun method to write in this class. Only one that has got just a little non-triviality to it. I'm not going to write it in a very efficient way. It's okay, I don't need to. I don't need to yet that I know. I may find I'm wrong, but for the moment, this seems okay to do it in a pretty simple way. So, I believe if I subtract, alright, I was going to do some fancy vector math thing, but this is simple enough. So we'll say dx equals socket offset vector 3 offset socket. There's just got to already be a utility function to do this. I know how to do it, Pythagorean theorem and all that, but okay, unity, calc, distance between two vectors, vector 3, even better. Yep, this is it. This is it right here. All right. I thought it was going to be a little more meaty than this. Kind of robbed me of my joy in some ways. If vector 3 distance socket offset position then we just return the socket. Pretty simple. Robbed me of my joy. That might have been why I was so happy about the catenary stuff, is that I got to write all the code, all the geometry and math, which can be fun. Can also be hell, but that's another story. Okay, so that's what finds the socket. So the next thing, as I commented here, add the snap to behavior and changing them. Oh, I can uncomment this now. I don't know why that's commented out. Because it's static? Is that what the deal is? This color weirds me a little bit. Well, if there's a problem, I'll catch it with the build. So, okay. So then in this code which moves the endpoints around, what I want to do is we'll say if one tricky thing about this. Alright, let me just write it the way I know it has a small problem first, and then I can come back and maybe fix it up. Oh, come on. Where's my... Find socket. So it's complaining about... Find socket. I'm missing my autocomplete here. Find socket, new start vertex. Alright, it's doing weird selection behavior. Whenever it does this, see, this is what I was talking about earlier, all the superstitions that I've formed because of the fear and pain that I've been through. Maybe it's a little bit like some kind of abuse where, you know, if I'm like the battered husband, I kind of shrink away from the thing I know that is going to hit me, like it has done so many times. I just shrink away from it instinctively. Yes, okay. So I felt like it was about ready to beat on me right there. So I closed it. I ran away. And now I'm gonna start it up again. I always come back to it. I always give it another chance, even though I shouldn't. Because I feel like it's the best solution I have at this time. Best I can do right now. Maybe later I'll do better. I'm sorry. That's getting dark. That's getting very dark. I need to stop joking along those lines. Alright, so now at least you're properly complaining. No passive aggressive nonsense from you. Now what is the problem with find socket here? It seems fine. Okay. Right. Here, let me just build. Okay, that might have been it right there. Okay. So you know about Cable Socket Manager, right? Okay, find socket. Oh, I forgot to put past the max distance. Okay, no problem, no problem. Well, why don't I just make it easy on myself and have this default? In fact, it's just kind of dumb to assume there's going to be some configurable passable setting in advance. Add it when I need it, when I actually need it. It's just dumb to add extra functionality before it's needed. Okay, so do that. And call this the end socket. And here I can actually check what actually changed. Nah, I don't want to do a check like that. Nah, here, let's not fiddle with that yet. The thing I know I'm gonna have to correct is, suppose you've got one of the endpoints right where you want it, but it's not purposefully not going into a socket. It's not snapped to the socket, and you put it that way on purpose. And then you go and you adjust the end point, the other end of the cable, and it snaps to something else. Maybe you do want to snap in another place. But the start socket will also snap even if you didn't intend it to. So a little bit later I want to break this out so that it only snaps the end that you're pulling. But right now I just want to see it working. So if start socket not equal null, then even though it's an offset, I think I can't remember if I've got to convert it to world coordinates or not. It's almost easier to just try it and see if it screws up the first time, and then I'll just kind of know, oh, I got to do that. Then for me to look up the example of other code or look up the documentation. So basically there's only one of two ways for it to work. So I think I can just try it. Let's build that. There's my socket. Okay. Moment of truth coming up right here. So if I... Oh man, my socket is like in a weird place. Let me at least put it in an expected location. Oh, I remember to just first do flat X Z plane adjustment. Then, if needed, do the Y adjustment. And it is needed. So this is where that little socket label helped, because see how they're right next to each other. It would be hard for me to... see, that's the kind of mistake I'm worried about. I'll make that a little bit lower. It would be hard for me to tell which one to click on if I didn't have that socket thing there. Okay, so now, this is exciting moment. It might work the first time. I'm gonna grab one of these cables. That's actually kind of a hard thing to do too. So it's like this tiny thing. Did I get it? Nope, I got a cloud. Here, cable 4. That looks like a good one. So it can be kind of a controlled experiment. I'm going to get it positioned down here so that I know it's right next to this pillar. Let me just go into the pillar, make sure I'm there. Okay. Okay, so if I drag it up to within a 1 meter distance, so basically around here, it should snap. Or Unity will crash, one of the two. Let me just save everything. It's such a pain to have to reset up everything when Unity crashes. Snap, are we gonna snap, are we gonna snap, are we gonna snap? I'm just edging up. Oh, I don't know. I'm not feeling the snap. I don't think it's snapping. Okay. So, is my coordinates way off or something? Oh, possibly. I thought it was right next to the base, but it's actually kind of far. Okay. Am I within 1 meter of that point yet? So this is probably going to be like a world versus local coordinates problem. Let me see where these guys think they are. So I think I was moving the start vertex. Which is tracking at 14, 19, negative 22. Yeah, so both of these are really different from the coordinates of the game object. So that makes me think that these numbers are like local offsets, which means that I have to do two conversions, I believe. One is convert these guys here to world coordinates, and then the other one, which I'll check in a sec here, socket, I think I need to convert it also to world points. So let me see. Its offset is also going to be local because it's wildly different from the game object coordinates. So I'm learning now that if I put in a vector 3 and I have it be draggable with a handle, that I should expect the coordinates that are put into that vector 3 to be local offsets from the game object. Game object. Got hiccups. I get hiccups in the evening. I think it has to do with my posture. If I sit up straight, I'll get less hiccups, I think. That's a theory. Alright. So, what I can do is perform that conversion. Problem is, you cannot perform that conversion without the transform. I want a cable socket manager to be ignorant of the transforms. So that conversion should actually happen within each game object, or each in the script attached to the game object. So just make a note, position is in world coordinates. And socket will need to perform a conversion as well. So let's do just wondering what the difference is between transform vector and transform point. I mean, they should function exactly the same. And there's transform direction. Let's start with point. Transform point. Wait, and this is local to world. Good. Okay. And I think this offset is correctly named. Let's see. Return. Okay. There's that. Just do each of these one at a time. I don't really need to let's see. Equals, let's see, target. Okay, world. Endpoints. So I'm just kind of hobgobblining here. So these two vertexes are the ones that I actually need to use, not the ones that are inside of the cable decorator object. And I had hoped to kind of like encapsulate the conversion to world coordinates. But it's like the cable decorator's got a transform in it. So it's got like half of the information there, and then this code here has got the other half of the information, which is the start and ending vertexes that have come from the position handle changes. So like neither place is an authority to do everything all together. So I have to create kind of an awkward utility method. I guess that's one solution, but I don't need to hobgoblin over this, which is my term for pursuing a foolish consistency. Okay, so let's go to what did I call it in cable socket? I called it get world coordinates. I can also call it get world coordinates in the other one too. Stop it. Okay. All right. So here's the ugly little utility method. Instead of returning some private vector converted, it's going to have a passed-in vector from. Okay. So then let's go back to the decorator. Oh. Okay. Getting there, getting there. So then I gotta do same thing for the end socket. Okay, so then here. That's a little better. I can say this. I don't need that whole comment there. I can just do that. Good enough. It's a little more concise and still very clear. Alright, so now it seems possible that I would have the snap to behavior that I was dreaming of. So the idea is these cables, these cables will snap into the sockets, thereby saving me just a ton of authoring time inside of levels when I create the levels. So I want to have a whole bunch of these cables. I want them to just snap into the sockets so I don't have to fiddle around with it so much. It's building, it's building, it's building. Okay, now I have to select the cable to get to see more spinning. Okay. Alright, it's not snapping into place. So that means I need to either debug or instrument to figure out why. So let's take a look at that code. Yeah, I'll start with instrumenting. Nah, change my mind. Debugger. Nah, change my mind again. Because the problem is I'll be dragging around and it'll hit the debugger more times than I want it to. So start out with start world vertex equals I have no idea if I'm moving the end point of that cable or the start, so I might as well instrument both. hate all these send message warnings. I read up on it, and it looks like there was some kind of bug in Unity that's been around for a long time, years. And there's just no clear way that I can see to okay. So it's setting these world coordinates. I better drop a little box in here and measure where I'm actually at. So now I'm doubting my location. Okay, Pro Builder. Let's make a little cube. Oh yeah. Pro Builder, you are 14, 19, negative 22. So that's roughly where the cable is in world space. Okay, so I was wrong. These measurements are in world space. They're not local. Oh, I should have checked that before. Remember when I said it would be really obvious to me just by trying one thing or another that the coordinates were in world space or local or needed to be? Wrong. If I just would have been a little more logical and deductive instead of just trying things, I would have gotten past this problem sooner. So this endpoint, 14, 19, negative 22, and converting it to world space was incorrect. That gave me another value which is bogus. It's sort of like double converting it, making somebody who wears corrective lenses wear a second set of corrective lenses. So then what about this other guy? With my socket, I'm guessing that's also in world coordinates. The offset 14, 19, negative 22. Yep. Okay. So all that stuff I just added was a complete waste of time. Just go back to what I had before. If I'd done like a little git commit right before this, I would just do a git checkout and I'd be done with this task of reverting useless code. Just yank it out. I do not leave code in my project that is not in use, even if it's potentially useful. It's just going to clutter up the place. It's just going to leave a bunch of junk around that slows me down. So I think I need to set a breakpoint in here. And see what's actually getting compared. It might be I don't have any sockets in my list. Let me add another breakpoint here. Oh, that's a possibility. No, that should call it. That should call it. This is a mono behavior. Start should get called. Oh, but I'm in the editor. When does start get called in the editor? Maybe what I really want is reset, maybe. All right, so let me add this here. Let me also add reset, because I feel like this is going to be it. I'm also curious. Which of these get called. So I'm going to learn a little bit about the Unity events in the editor right here. So reset, which I know is editor specific. I know, like, if you click the reset button on your inspector, it will call that method. I think it also calls it like right when you add a component to the editor. But I'll see. I will learn. Oh man, I'm hungry now. I'm telling Elizabeth to make sure she gives me a good warning for when she's coming home from work, so I can start heating up this taco meat. Anyways, what's the thing I want to do? I want to drag this baby up. Okay, cool. Now I noticed that none of this add socket type stuff got called. So my sockets is going to be empty, I think. Yep. That's the problem. So, just thinking about what are the events they have to tie into. I think let me take a look at reset documentation. I think I read about this earlier. Unity editor reset function. Yeah, this one. Okay. Or when adding the component the first time. So I already added the component. That means I won't get the reset button at that point in time. Well, this might be a problem that is really unique to just when I'm working on this for the first time. So if I just create some simple way to add this, and I'll say if sockets, I'll make this so I can call it extra times if I want. Contains socket. If it doesn't contain it, let's add it. That way I won't get duplicates. Here, hit play so it continues. Okay. And then I'll go back to socket. And let me just make like a I think I can do an update. So start is useless. This, I don't want it to be around for long. I don't want to accidentally leave it in. Okay, let's do onValidate. Public bool. Register. So this, I think, is the correct way that will work once I have this all going. This is like a during development cheat to add in the socket to the socket manager. That's pretty slow. Okay. Come back over here. And I want my socket. There's my socket. Do the register. I think it's registered now. Okay, then I'll grab my cable. Drag it up. Oh, it snapped! Oh snap! Oh snap! It snapped! It snapped! It snapped! It snapped! It snapped! Oh man. Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. It snapped. Okay, let's go grab another cable end. See if it's as easy as I think it is now. Just pull it up here. It snapped again. Boom. It's still a friggin' pain in the ass to click on a cable and get it selected, but it's not a pain in the ass anymore to get it pointed to the place that I want it to connect to. Snap. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. So, let me do this. It's not quite time to strut around the level victoriously, because I want to add these sockets to the prefabs, which are generated by decoration. So here's what I do next. I go into my decorations, go into floor edges. Let's do all the corners. So I can take each corner and give it one of these sockets. Okay. Southeast, you're gonna get a socket. Right there, kind of. Gotta remember my own advice, which is where to go. Okay. First do XZ. And I can do Y if it will give me the, yes, that one. Ah, Jesus. I wonder if this is one of those things where it just does not work well inside of the prefab view as opposed to the scene view. God damn. It's so hard to get this positioning right. I feel like it's messing with me a little bit. Okay, I guess that's lined up. That's just one. But if I get the offsets, if I get the offsets down for one, I can copy them. It's not so bad. Not so bad. It's not so bad. I could also use snapping if I wanted. No, I can't. Not with these handles. That is a downside of the handles. In fact, I literally had to implement my own snapping. So, who snaps the snapless? Now I'm just degenerating into nonsense. I feel sorry for anyone that's actually listening to me. Okay, that's got to be close. So I can copy that and go to these other combinations. Just paste. Bam. That's not that hard. In fact, I think I can just bulk this. Okay. Okay, so now I've got every one of these little child components has got this socket added to it. The southeast ones are all set correctly. Go down to southwest, and they're not set correctly, but I can just grab them all at once. It's kind of a batch operation. And I think this will work. I saw some weirdness there that I don't like. Okay, so all those should be, yeah. And southwest over here, southwest, all positioned up. I don't know, something messed up there. Something messed up. Man. I'm doing undos, but I'm trying not to undo too far. Okay, this is right after I did the paste. So let me see where I'm at here. So I think all the southeast, they're all going to be off in that corner. So even though I'm moving two different corners, like here I've got northwest corner selected, the sockets are all down here. So I basically have to move the sockets for each corner off to the right place for the corner that they're on. So let me go back to southwest, SWL. Okay. In fact, I'm just gonna do one at a time, just to keep from making. I just don't want it to be that crazy. Also, it kind of looks like I've got southeast in the wrong spot. Okay. Southwest. Move just one. get it in the right spot. And then after that, nope. After that, I can just copy over to the other ones. So copy that. And I go over to these other three. And I paste the values. They all move over neatly. Alright, now I've got a system. Let's get one of these guys over in the right spot. Oh, I feel like watching like episode of The Twilight Zone after this. The new one with Jordan Peele, who always makes me crack up when I see him being serious. I could keep expecting him to make a joke and he doesn't make any joke. He's just doing the Rod Serling thing. Okay, so let's copy that value. Copy that value. Then we go to the other three. Do a paste. Bam, they're all lined up. Okay, last one. Last corner. Last corner of the corner. God, I'm glad I took that little bit of time to get these things with some text near them that says socket, because if I had not done that right now, I would just be demoralized. I still mess up a fair amount. It just would have been madness without that. Maybe I should get like a label maker for Christmas. Okay. Now, there's a chance that this works right away. So I'm going to run the decorator script. No, I'm going to save. I'm just going to save. Save. Okay. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't even need to run the decorator script. So when I saved those prefabs, the question is, did it automatically add changes to the existing prefabs? I'm not sure, because I look at these clones and none of them have that little blue connection, so that makes me think they're unpacked or disconnected, which makes me think that they're not going to automatically get the changes that I made to the prefabs, and I'll have to run the decorator again. But it's worth checking. It's worth checking because it's always good to learn how the engine actually works if I'm not 100% sure of something, to learn a little bit. And I'm learning that I hate how much it goes into spinning mode. That's definitely something I'm learning. Which might mean it's crashing. That's always possible. Unity does love to crash on me for no good reason. If it crashes, then I'm not gonna. I'll end the stream there. I don't feel like I failed at this point. I feel like I actually accomplished the thing that I was setting out to do, and I did it in a pretty short amount of time. I made like a way to snap the ends of these cables automatically to a point in the scene that is defined by me. And I haven't proven this yet, but I'm pretty sure that with a small amount of effort and Unity not crashing on me, that I can have all of the prefabs which are used for like these corner pieces automatically be given these attachment points. And that means that when I'm editing the level, I can just start whipping these cables around fast. I can just like connect them up to different points quickly. I won't have to worry a lot about if I've got it in exactly the right place to be shown aesthetically well. They'll just pop into place and they'll be good. And that will mean that I can prolifically create cables within my levels without spending a lot of time. I can also add those connection points, those sockets, to any object I want. I can add them to these rails here. I can add them to some other doodad that I end up sticking in the middle of a wall. I can have like a little guy's face with a nose ring, and that nose ring can be a place that a cable is connected to. All kinds of things like this. And now with that spinner happening for such a long duration, I think I must have crashed Unity. I've never seen it come back from this long of a spinny when I didn't actually ask it to do something. So I think it's probably dying on me. But I'm going to leave it for a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. And then you'd think like maybe it might be a good idea to just like walk away and come back later and see if it had finished whatever stupid thing it was trying to do. But my limbic system, my hippocampus tells me no, that's a bad idea. Because then like it could be in some process that's just grabbing more and more resources off my computer. And when I come back, like the whole hard drive is filled up and the computer's crashed and rebooted. So I would rather just force quit it at this point. That's what I'm going to do. It's just the rule set I've got in my head right now. Force quit Unity. I just don't trust you to carry on doing whatever you think you're doing. I think you failed. I think you failed me. Visual Studio, I think I also can't trust you because you had a debugger connection going while Unity was failing, so I'm going to close you down too. And I'm going to continue this tomorrow. I think this has been a good stream. I think it's a good time to end the stream. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you will come back, particularly at a live point, watch this stuff with me live, chat with me a little bit, and we can talk about what I'm doing, we can talk about what you're doing, which might only be slightly related to what I'm doing. I'm kind of generous that way. So yeah, come and hang out with me another time. Stop in the stream, stop in the stream, stop in the stream.